I am so grateful to have had these visits with you. The guests that we've had this month, their stories, I don't think I'll ever forget them. I'm sure you feel the same. I mean, some terrible diagnoses, prognoses, life circumstances. Some have had a trip to heaven. Some have had miraculous healings. But everyone has experienced Emmanuel, God with them. The prophet Isaiah foretold Christ's birth 700 years before Jesus was born. We celebrate God's gift at Christmas. But have you truly embraced the Savior as Lord of your life? My guest knows you can be in the Salvation Army and miss salvation. Major Roxzena Hayden is here from London, Ontario, ordained with the Salvation Army in 1992. Her responsibilities cover northern and southwestern Ontario, and so many things. Roxzena, I'm just going to give a few highlights of the areas of your expertise and ministry, pastoral care and counseling in death and loss, grief, hospice care, Alzheimer's, suicide intervention, preparation for emergencies and natural disasters. Also, a Canadian Police Chaplaincy Association. What a broad field of ministry.
Yeah.
And you love it.
I do love it. I do love it. I like helping people.
Very clear. Well, I want to take you back a few years. January 19th, 1986. You were helping with Sunday school.
I was helping with Sunday school. My children were in Sunday school, and I had started attending the Salvation Army through a ladies' ministry program called the Home League, and they had said they needed someone to help with Sunday school, and so I thought, well, my children are in Sunday school, so I'd go and help as well. And January 19th, 1986, they were doing what we call Decision Sunday, and one of the children had come to me and said, would you come with me to the mercy seat? And I said, sure. So I started to walk with her, and she turned and went back, but I continued on.
Now that person who needed a little support had decided she wanted to give her life to Christ.
Exactly.
You were just going to help her
I
make
was
it.
just going to be up there with her to, yeah.
What kept you going?
There was something inside me that said, now's the time to give your life to the Lord.
And you've never looked back.
And I've never looked back.
We send out a sheet to our prospective guests asking a number of questions. And one of those questions is, what does Jesus mean to you? Do you remember what you filled out? Okay, I'm going to help you. You put comforter, healer. You would need divine intervention in a crisis that, well, we're just going to capsulize today. Anyone who's been through a cancer journey knows there are so many back and forths. It's such an ordeal.
Yeah.
But when did this first rock your world, Roxzena?
It was in February of 2006. I got up one morning, I tried to take a breath and I couldn't. There was something preventing me from doing that. I went to the doctor, there was tests done, and they said that a tumor had formed in my adrenal cortex, and it was pressing against my diaphragm. By then it was the size of a Tim Hortons coffee cup, a medium Tim Hortons
A medium Tim Hortons coffee.
I'm such a visual person. I kept asking, what's the size of it? So they told me that they would tell me the size, and so yeah.
Now, at this point, did they say they could not operate?
No, they thought they might be able to. So I went through a series of tests, bone scan, because usually this type of tumor, by the time it gets to that size, it's in your bones somewhere. And they done a bone scan, and it wasn't in the bones. So on June the 6th, 2006, 666, however.
Wow.
Yeah. I went in for my first surgery, and the surgeon couldn't remove the tumor because it had grown over my aorta, and he thought it was too involved in the other organs, so he closed me up.
Oh, the statistics here. The survival rate, 10%. Life expectancy, 5 years.
Well,
You weren't even given that.
I wasn't given that
were
at that time, no.
Just sent home.
I was sent home. I was given 6 months to a year.
You know, you quote Chuck Swindoll here.
Yeah.
as being a comforter
At that time, yeah.
with his words of wisdom. Some of you are going through trials right now that have dropped you to your knees. At the same time, those trials are pulling you close to the Lord, closer than you've ever been in your life.
Yeah.
That was
is
your
true.
experience.
Exactly. I was drawn closer to the Lord. And I kept thinking, how can I help others by going through this? Like, if my life is going to end, like how? So I had actually signed forms because they don't have a lot of studies on this type of cancer, that they could experiment basically with chemo drugs to see how they could help others. I could help others that way.
How precious.
So I went through all of that.
Meanwhile, you're writing farewell letters.
Meanwhile, I'm
to
writing
your
farewell
family.
letters to my family. I was making cards at that time, so I made cards and letters for my brothers, and
Knitting baby outfits for grandchildren you didn't
that
expect
I didn't
ever
expect
to see.
them. No.
Oh, it's heart-ripping.
Yeah.
But God,
Intervened.
what was the light
Well,
in this desperate, seemingly hopeless
Yeah.
situation?
I said, I went through the chemo treatments. I was supposed to have 9. I had 17. The tumor kept growing. It grew so much that it took over all of my left side and grew out from underneath my ribs. So it looked like I was actually pregnant on the left side of my body.
And did you tell me it was over your aorta?
And it was
That was
over my aorta. So, but when they were doing the scans, because they were testing with the drugs, and they do scans, and I kept saying, what is this, you know? And so they showed me, and then there's this, I call it the thin white line, where I said, this is, you know, and they said, it's a possible they might be able to remove it again. Try again. Went to the same surgeon. He said, no, but if you want a second opinion. So I'll take the second opinion.
I'm not an expert, but I would just like to sound the gong for a second opinion.
Yeah.
How many times do we find that is a turning point?
Yeah. He didn't want me to get my hopes up, but I said, I'll take the second opinion. And that was the percentage that I wasn't even supposed to survive that surgery. Or if I did, then there's the complications afterwards. But,
But, do
yeah.
you want to name it? Could you say it?
Adrenal cortical carcinoma,
Yeah, a very rare disease.
very rare disease.
Very
1 in a million get it.
rare. They would remove the mass. Your waist was like 60 inches
60
at this
inches,
point.
yeah.
They would also take your left kidney, your spleen, your adrenal gland, lymph nodes, and part of your pancreas. You don't have diabetes,
No.
in spite of having very little pancreas.
Yeah.
You could have died from the side effects.
Yeah, with the complications and things after the surgery, abscess had formed, drain tubes, things. But I said, no, that's...
And what did the doctors say, Roxzena?
They medically cannot explain me because I'm not on any medications and I am not diabetic, so I've had 3 different specialists actually tell me they cannot medically explain me.
You are a marvel.
I am one of God's miracles.
And you're a grandmother to 4
I am a grandmother to 4.
from your
Yes.
2 adult children.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful story, and it's hard to fathom looking at you here so whole and so joyful. This is your 3rd Christmas without your husband, Edward.
Yes, yes. When they removed the tumor and things, they said there's a 50% chance of reoccurrence in 5 years. And I said, well, 50% chance of no reoccurrence in 5 years. And he said, if we get 5 years, we get 5 years. We'll make the best of it. And the tumor, the surgery, and everything was done on March the 8th, 2007. And on March the 8th, 2012, I was declared cancer-free, 5 years to the day. But he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he died 2 months later.
At 57?
57, yeah. So we got our 5 years, but I was thinking it would be me and not him.
Roxzena, it could be a simple answer, but I'm looking to you for help for those who are dealing with overwhelming situations right now as we head to Christmas. It might just be loneliness, which is a Mack truck in itself. It might be facing Christmas without someone that they love. It might be a terminal illness. Can you help them?
I understand the loneliness. I understand facing Christmas and special occasions without someone. But without God, without Jesus in my life, I don't know how I would do it. And if you don't know the Lord, please get to know him on a personal basis, because he is there to comfort and to heal and to encourage and help you face those lonely days.
Well, you are the evidence that there is a strength outside of us, supernatural strength. And are you completely cancer-free?
I am completely cancer-free. I haven't been back to the cancer. I go to the doctor once a year for my checkup, and actually I've just had all that, and I'm still cancer-free.
Really?
Yeah.
Truly wonderful. And it's interesting that when you were first diagnosed and sideswiped, taken out of action, your biggest concern was it was December, the busiest time for the Salvation Army, and you couldn't do all the things that needed doing with the approach of Christmas.
Yeah.
Bless your heart. I treasure William Booth's famous telegram to his global family. It was one word:
Others.
Others.
Yeah.
Others. And guess what I got in the mail yesterday?
Oh.
I'm just going to go ahead and show and tell this because I love their slogan. A tradition for every generation. And you see what it says on the back? Keep the tradition going.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of us will pass a red kettle somewhere this Christmas.
Yes.
And that's just one little way to keep the tradition going. What would Christmas without Salvation Army be?
I don't know. It's just become part of life.
We don't want to find out.
We don't want to find out. No.
Roxzena, thank you so much for all that you do and for trusting God through, again, we've made it sound short and sweet. It's not. It's a real roller coaster. I've got dates and events and prognoses that are just awful. I mean, how many times were you told you have, 5 years to live? Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it just wasn't good. But here's the verse that sustained you. Isaiah 41:10.
Yes.
So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Take that to heart.